Hey, you may have been wondering, where have I been? Or maybe you haven't, let's be honest. Thing is, I am about to move to a new place, and I thought before I do, I should take the chance to show you my current color grading and YouTube setup in this apartment. So without further ado, let's see what we have. So my color grading setup, my color grading suite, if you will, is in my living room. And because of that, this room has to kind of serve two purposes. Both be a living room, which I have also repurposed as a client area, and the office side of things, which I use both for color grading, my YouTube videos, and just as my daily computer setup. Now, starting off with the simpler side, we have the LG C2 65-inch TV, which I have calibrated myself, and some Logitech Z906 surround speakers, just so I can monitor any mastered files going for cinema. Now, both the TV and the speakers are hooked up to my computer, but because the wire has to go all this way, I've had to use fiber optic HDMI, and I had to solder some custom speaker wires just to be able to connect them from back here. And moving on to the office, let's start out with the YouTube setup. The camera I use to record my YouTube videos, let's be honest, is a bit of an overkill. It's the Ursa Mini Pro 12K OLPF. The wonderful thing about this camera is even though it has a 12K sensor, you can record even UHD with it without cropping in on the sensor. In front, I have a Sigma 18-35. In front of that, I have an Elgato teleprompter, which has been a huge help in making YouTube videos, as I tend to script all of them. For monitoring myself, I have a SmallHD 702 Touch, and as battery backup, I have some SWIT 98 watt-hour batteries on a plate that lets me hot swap them. The tripod is one from Cartoni. I can't remember the exact model, but I'll put that in the description along with everything else. Moving on to the light, I am using an AMARAN 150C, along with a light dome, I think it's the 3rd generation one. Really quick to put together and pack away. For my microphone, a Shure SM7B. That is hooked up via XLR to a MOTU M4 sound interface. And that runs into Voicemeeter Potato, which is this virtual soundboard or sound mixer, if you will. This has 5 physical inputs, 3 virtual inputs, 5 physical outputs, and 3 virtual outputs, plus an ability to record, which I use for the YouTube videos. Now, moving on to the color grading side of things, I am running a Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve mini panel, which I have slightly modified. First, I have taken out the trackballs and replaced them with these 3D printed panels I designed myself. Link in the description if you want to print those yourself. And the reason is, I am working with DC tails a lot these days. So I am really only using these top knobs. Let's undo that. And I don't want to bump into the trackballs, because when you're working like this, it's very easy to move the trackballs accidentally. So this helps with that. And talking about controlling DC tails, I have also 3D printed these knob extensions that just go onto the knobs with pressure fitting. And that just makes them a bit easier to use. Then, moving on with the control surfaces, I have a Stream Deck XL, and this is just used for the most common shortcuts. Then, first of 4 screens, I have one for knob omniscope, and this is just some random LG screen, nothing special about it. Then the middle one I use for Resolve when recording YouTube videos, but when actually color grading, I swing it away to the side and use what you can see behind. that being an LG C1 55-inch TV, again calibrated by myself using Calman Studio and the Portrait Display's C6 colorimeter. And finally, I have this ultra-wide LG screen, which I bought at the recommendation of Joey Diana for scopes, but after changing my setup around, I have moved scopes to the left screen, and I used this for resolve when color grading. Moving on to the computer, this is a custom-built Windows PC. You can see all the specs on screen and in the description, but the main thing is it's running a GeForce RTX 3090, and for the reference screen output, I have a DeckLink 8K. Now, if I move things a bit, we can see where this DeckLink signal is going. It's going into a Blackmagic microconverter that converts the SDI signal into HDMI and also gives a loop back into the same DeckLink, which feeds it into Omniscope. On the other side, the HDMI output goes into this HDMI switch, which also takes inputs from the GPU and my server. That way I can choose what I want to see on screen without having to pick up the TV remote. And the output from that comes into this HDMI splitter, which just turns one input into two outputs, those going to the TVs. And talking about the TVs, I also have this ESP8266 along with an IR LED. And this is used to control both of these and to turn on and off the TV by using my smart home system, usually controlled from the Stream Deck. In addition, I have a separate network card to give me a fiber connection to the switch, which also has my main storage, that being a Synology 8-bay NAS. So this is about 100 terabytes worth of storage that is fast enough for me to color grade off of. And behind there, we can see the switch, then an Intel NUC, the middle box that is running some servers, and then the top one is a Raspberry Pi 5 running my home automation, that being Home Assistant. And finally, down here, there is a UPS that is hooked up to the NAS just to make sure that if there is a power outage, the NAS has time to safely shut down. And I guess this video wouldn't be complete without mentioning that I'm recording the video on a GoPro Hero 13 and the audio on the DEITY Theos Lav system. If you have any questions about my setup, or you're working on your own setup and have some questions, leave those down below. And you will find a full list of everything I use also in the description. I'm Gaur. See you next time.